Pastor Azeli. Hi, Pastor Azeli. Pula Vinaka. Can you join us on the video? Once he comes on, we'll turn it on, yeah? We have not seen the picture. So Pastor said we can start there, right? Okay. Welcome to the Voice of South Pacific broadcast. Today is July 3rd, 2023. This is a Pacific Islanders broadcast, for all the Pacific Islanders community. And we'd like to welcome each and every one of us. Especially, we want to do a big shout out, to the Seattle and King County Public Health for sponsoring our program to spread the information and update information with the COVID. We are so fortunate to have our program manager, vaccination program manager from the King County Public Health, Karen Goldenberg. But before we continue on, we would like to maybe ask, since we have Pastor Azeli here, to just say a little, short little prayer, opening prayer for us, before we continue on. Pastor Azeli. Can you unmute your, we cannot hear you, Pastor Azeli. You can unmute your phone or your laptop or your computer so we can hear your voice. Can you unmute him? Yeah. Pastor Azeli, can you hear us? And you can lift up your hand. Yeah, we cannot hear you. Your voice doesn't come out. It's mute. Welcome, Alinda and also Rancer from the PI Health Board.
Hi, everyone.
Yeah, Alinda is Masterlist. Rancer is from Chamolo? Chukis, eh?
Yeah.
So, Karen, you have a lot of guests today that, like from different organizations that we all take part today. This is like our 4th of July conversation here.
Great.
Pastor Azeli, we still don't hear you. I think you need to turn up your volume and unmute your phone. Just play the little melodious song, Fungasia, and then we'll continue on.
Hello?
Oh.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. This is a privilege to have everyone, especially a lot of them, from the PI Health Board. But above all else, we want to thank, to the Seattle and King County Public Health for sponsoring our Pacific Islanders broadcast to spread the health and wealth information, to our community abroad. And we have our special guest who joined us today, Karen Goldenberg. Before we continue on, we'd like to ask Pastor Azeli Fijian to please say a little short word of prayer before we continue on to bless our program today. Thank you. Pastor Azeli.
Thank you. Let's just pray. Thank you, Father, for
allowing us, Lord, to come to this platform and just converse, Lord, in an opportunity that we have just to inform our people, oh God, with what we have in place, Lord, for our community. We're so grateful for the opportunity, and we pray blessings over our conversation today. And help us, Lord, to open and be open to what you're gonna share with us and what we're gonna hear from our government officials, oh God, that will bring enlighten us with many areas of our lives that we needed to focus on. Give us, Lord, what we need in this very hour. Bless us and bless the host and bless the officials that are present with us. May your name be glorified in our midst. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you so much. Thank you, Pastor Aseli. Pastor Aseli is from the islands of Fiji, Bula. Again, I would like to take this great opportunity to say hello to everybody. Bula, Talofa, and Maloelele. My name is Sylvia Taimiaho. I'm from the islands of Tonga, the friendly islands in the South Seas. And each and everyone that are going to speak today, you can always introduce yourself and where is the island you're representing from, either Micronesia, Melanesia, Polynesia. And I'm about to introduce Karen Goldenberg. She's a program manager with the Public Health and Seattle King County Immunization Program. She's focusing on making a greater, trying to help as like especially seniors and people who are living in the long-term care facilities and those who have chronic condition that put them in a serious infection. Karen work focuses on finding ways to connect people in need with vaccination, including managing program that brings the COVID vaccines to the homes of the King County residents who are homebound and may have difficulty to get out, like those who are in a nursing home, adult family home facilities, to make sure that they have the vaccines that they need. Her team vaccines event at senior centers and housing sites where seniors live. Karen grew up on the East Coast, and now she's all on the Emerald City, city of Seattle. And her partner, she has a little dog, and she loves working with seniors and likes to cook and visit on the spare time. Again, like I already introduced myself, my name is Sylvia Daimi Aho. I'm from the islands of Tonga. And I have some suggested question here that we would like to share with our audience and listeners. Hi, Karen. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. Before I hop on to the first question, can you tell us a little bit that I didn't cover on my introduction today about what you're doing and what's your passion and why you like to do this vaccination program?
Sure. So you covered a lot, but yeah, my job at the county is to focus on making sure that adults in our community, so especially people who are older, or people who have an immune compromising condition, so something else that's going on with their body that makes it more likely that if they got COVID, they might get very, very sick. And maybe even need to be in the hospital. So those are folks that we really, really want to make sure that they have access to vaccines. And now that COVID is luckily not as big of a deal in all of our lives as it was, I'm also able to think about the other vaccines that adults might need. So we do some work about flu shots, shingles vaccine, RSV. There's a few other vaccines we can talk about a little bit too.
Wonderful.
And why I like to do this, I really love seniors, particularly. It's a passion of mine. I care about and respect the seniors in my life, and I want to make sure that they have every chance to be able to stay safe. I think in a community like King County, where we have so many resources, there's no reason that everybody shouldn't have access to all of the healthcare that they feel like they need. We should be able to do that.
Thank you so much, Karen. And I heard your person that you wanted to help others, especially those vulnerable adults, like the seniors. And yes, that is very, very relevant, especially some of the seniors, don't really have any families around them, to help them out. So I will take the first question here. What's the latest on COVID vaccination? If you could tell us a little bit more about it. A lot of people thought that COVID it's over, and now they talk about like there's a long-term COVID. Uh, what is the latest COVID vaccination?
It's a great question, and it does seem like it's always changing. We are luckily at a point where there is less COVID infection in our community than there used to be. There are fewer people getting sick right now than there were at other times. People may have heard the most recent recommendation about vaccination. They may have heard the term a booster shot or a bivalent booster shot. So I want to explain what that means, because people are eligible for a booster shot right now, and that is their best chance at being protected from the kind of COVID that is still out there in our community right now. Viruses tend to change over time. So that's how you get different strains of virus. And the vaccination has to keep up with that. That's why we have a different kind of flu shot every year. It's because it's made a new formula every year trying to match what's out there. And we do the same with COVID. So we have a new vaccine now, the booster, that actually has 2 different strains of COVID virus in it. That's why it's called bivalent. Bi means 2. So we have this bivalent booster, and we are really encouraging anybody who has not had a booster to get one. Adults who have had really any adult can get a booster now if they haven't had one. I really, really encourage people to think about doing this, especially if you're going to be traveling, something like that, or if you're going to be spending time with somebody that you love that is more at risk, somebody who's older than you or somebody who has other illnesses. Those are really good reasons to get this bivalent booster. If you are a senior, so if you're over 65 and you got a booster, let's say you heard about the boosters when they were first available back in October and you got one then, as long as you have not had one in the last 4 months, you're eligible to get another one now. And I really encourage people to do that. If you are over 65 and you're eligible for this second booster, it's a really good thing to do just to make sure you've got all of that protection that you can get. That's where we're at. People may also hear in the news that we are expecting a new kind of booster that will come out in the fall. And this new booster is going to be our best chance at getting protection from whatever kinds of COVID are going to be in our community in the fall. So in the fall, when that new booster comes out, it will come with recommendations for who is really most in need of this booster. Generally, older folks, and then a few other categories of people, usually people who have some immune compromising conditions, so something that's putting their body at higher risk. It'll probably be recommended that folks in those groups get the new booster in the fall. So long story short, there's a booster available now. If you have not had a booster, really encourage you to get that now. If you've had yours, you're all set, then you can say that you're up to date, you're good, and you don't need to think about any more vaccination until the fall when we have a new booster come out.
Thank you so much, for the great information. It's very inspiring, and thank you again. I know we have a lot more questions here, but at this time, I'd like to, to ask our technician to please just play a little melodious song, at this time, like maybe for 10 seconds, while we switch over to the next person. So I'd like to ask Gabby, you'll be go next. You want to ask the next question, and also we have Daniela and Alinda Renser, and then we'll have the pastor wrap up, our program, our question. But you're more than welcome if you have any other question. Since we have the program manager of vaccination with the King County Public Health, you can raise your hand or let us know, right away, and then we'll put you in.
Well, thank you for this presentation, Karen. It was really very informative. I do have a couple of questions, but first I want to introduce myself. Hello, everyone. Hafaday. My name is Gabby Guerrero. I'm from the island of Guam. I work for the Pacific Island Health Board as a health minister. And so a question that I do have, with these upcoming booster shots and bivalent boosters, do they come at a cost for families or children?
Thank you for asking. Because it's a really important question. And luckily, there are rules about what insurance companies have to cover. And luckily, we live in a state that's actually always covered vaccinations for children. And there's been a recent change in the law that it is how Medicaid and Medicare run. So Medicare is a giant insurance program. It's a federal program that covers most seniors and some younger people who have a disability. And then there's all of the different kinds of Medicaid programs that usually cover. Really depends on what your state covers, but usually folks with lower incomes can qualify for Medicaid programs. All of those programs have to cover have to cover immunizations that are recommended by the CDC. So as long as the CDC makes their recommendation and says, we recommend that all people over 65 get a COVID booster in the fall, then the insurance companies have to cover that for people who are over 65. There is going to be a brand new program that will help pay for COVID vaccinations if people have no insurance. It's called a Bridge Access Program. We are also still waiting to hear if this is going to be just temporary or if there is going to be a federal program that has been proposed but has not actually gotten funding from the legislature yet. But that would be, it would just be called the Adult Vaccine Program, and it would pay for all of the vaccines that adults might need for adults who don't have insurance or don't have people who have no insurance or are underinsured. They maybe have a little bit of insurance, but it doesn't cover vaccines. So this is all really good news because sometimes vaccines can be very expensive, and we really, really don't want that to be in any way a reason why people can't access vaccines. If there is something that people are looking for, if they don't have the insurance and they're looking for a place to get it, King County runs a community health access line that they can call, and they can help them figure out where's a place nearby where they can get that vaccine for free. And I'll just say the phone number, but we can also put it in I think Kate can send it afterwards as well. It's 1-800-756-5437.
Thank you.
Can you repeat the
Of
phone
course.
number one more time, or you can put it on the screen?
Yes. I will. Kate's got it. It's 1-800-756-5437. And that's the Community Health Access Line.
That's the Community Health Access Line. Also, it's so nice that we have a lot of the team from our Pacific Islanders Health Board, and they are the one that have a lot of the service, to serve our Pacific Islanders community.
It's wonderful to have you. Yes.
Yes. Also, everyone, please share this to all your friends, families, because these are the great programs when we inherit the information not from another person, but it's coming directly from the Seattle and King County Public Health. Okay, thank you, Gabby. Did you get your answer? Did you get your question answered?
Oh, sorry. I think I did. Thank you so much for that information.
Okay,
Thanks for the
we'll have a
question.
little melodious song here, a little breeze sound from the South Seas, and then we'll hop on to the next one. Daniela, are you ready to ask the next question? Feel free to share the program. It's on Facebook Live, it's on YouTube Live, and you can watch it at any time. And also, if you have any question or something that matters, or if you have any question about like the vaccines or any other information, about the immunization department, we have the program manager here. It's Karen Goldenberg. Hi, Daniela, are you on?
Yes.
Okay.
Hi.
Yeah.
Yeah, moving ahead, everyone. First and foremost, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Daniel Langi. I am from the Fiji Islands, and I am a navigator with King County and Public Health. Thank you so much for inviting me in this space. My question is,
Oh, Daniela, I think you went on mute.
Daniela, I think your sound is the signal is off.
oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, my question is, when do people stop worrying about
Oh,
COVID-19
Daniela,
now?
I'm so sorry to cut you off, but can you also, Daniela introduced himself. He's one of the navigator for the PI Health Board. But which island you're from in the Pacific?
Sorry, my apologies. I'm from the Fiji Islands.
Fiji. Bula. We have a lot of Fijian. Okay, sorry. Go ahead, Daniela.
Yes, the question that we were trying to pose was, can younger people stop worrying about COVID-19 now?
Can people stop worrying about COVID-19 now? It's a great question. I get it a lot. So what I would say to that is that for most people, COVID doesn't have to be the very, front of your brain worry that it used to be for most of us, right? I see a lot of people out. I live right in Seattle on Capitol Hill, and people walking around my neighborhood, usually no masks and outdoors. That's just fine. That is perfectly okay. It is still important that we remember that COVID exists. It's not gone. There are still people getting sick. There are still people in the hospital right now who with COVID. It's just a lot less. So, I think the things that we've learned that have kept us safe, we can still do without having it be an always present concern. So for me, I always have a mask in my purse. I have one in my car. If I'm going to be going into a crowded grocery store, I just grab it. It's an easy thing to do. I know there are things that I think about now that I didn't before COVID that I might always think about it this way. So for instance, if I'm going to go visit my parents who are older and have some health conditions, I make sure that I don't have any symptoms, and I would not go visit them if I was starting to cough or starting to feel feverish, or there was, the things that I now recognize could be COVID. I always have a COVID test kit in my house, just ready here in case I do start having symptoms and I'm concerned. I also have a plan for if I do start feeling sick, if I think, oh gosh, this really feels like it might be COVID, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to talk to my doctor. I'm going to think about maybe getting on a treatment. There are medications that can keep COVID from lasting quite as long and from getting quite as severe if you get on them quickly. So these are things that I think we should all still remember, because it's not gone. It is still there. There is always the potential for another spike. And I think everybody remembers how quickly that can happen, right? Once we start seeing a spike in infections, it can get it suddenly will start feeling like half the people you know are sick. So that could certainly happen. We hope that it doesn't, but it could. So we always try to be ready. The very smart folks I get to work with at the health department are always tracking and looking for any evidence that there is something new coming, or a repeat spike in the old strains that we've seen. So the things, again, not gone. Most important things we can do are to do the basics that we've all learned over the last few years. Is make sure you're up to date on your vaccination. So up to date now means including having all of the boosters that you're eligible for, depending on your age and what's going on in your own health. Then there is also the very basics. Wash your hands. I wash my hands immediately when I come in from being outdoors. It's just a habit I got into. We'll keep all of the other germs off my hands too, not just COVID. And thinking about masking is still important. It can help protect you. It can help protect others, especially if you're in a crowded indoor space. That's when a mask might be important. Okay, I talked a lot for a short question. I hope I answered your question, Daniela.
Thank you so much. And now we'll just play a little music all the way from the Bula land. Daniela, did it answer your question? Daniela? Can you unmute?
Yes, she did. Thank you.
Was your question being answered by Karen? Yes?
I think he said yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we'll have this song all the way from the Bula Vinaka land. Tossa Mai. Next it will be, for those of you that wanted to share this, you just go to Voice of South Pacific. It has 2 coconuts, the logo. And then you share it to your personal page. And then from your personal page, you can be able to share it with your friends, families, and everyone that's your friends on Facebook. And if they're not able to watch it on Facebook, they can go and watch it on YouTube. YouTube, the video will be there. And they can watch it on television. They can watch it at any time. Otherwise, we'll continue on with this song, Tossa Mai. Then next will be Alinda and Rensa from PI Health Board also.
Hi, I'm sorry.
Okay, hi Alinda. I only know one little word, kinda. It's like say hello in Marshallese. Okay, please introduce yourself and then we continue on.
Me or Ransa?
It's either one of you.
Okay, I'll keep it to Ransa. Hi everyone, thank you for inviting us on this the radio. My name is Ransa Milo. I'm the program manager for the Healthcare Navigator team. We're here at the Pacific Islander Health Board. I'm from the island of Chuuk, and thank you for this time. I'm gonna pass it to Alinda.
Hello, Malo, I think. How do we say it now, Daniela? Hello, and Yakwe. My name is Alin Aling. I'm a Kufa L navigator at Pacific Island Airport, and I work with Marshallese community, and not only that, but other Pacific Islander communities. Thank you for this space and for the invite. We appreciate it, and I appreciate it. And I really appreciate because I'm going to learn more about the elderly COVID vaccination and get more information with you, Karen Kohlenberg. Thank you for coming, and I appreciate it. And I'll share it with my community. Thank you.
Appreciate the work you do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, Alinda and Ransa, who will have a question, to ask the immunization program manager from the King County?
The question that we wonder is, where can people go to set their appointment? To get their booster.
To get their booster. So there's a lot of different ways people can get boosters. Probably, well, not probably. The most popular is a pharmacy. Pretty much every pharmacy can do vaccines, including the COVID boosters. There are different, depending on the pharmacy, you might make the appointment differently. The really big chains like CVS or Walgreens, those kinds of places, you can go online and they have an appointment maker on their website that you can use. Then there's smaller chains like a Fellow Station Pharmacy. They do a lot of vaccines. There's all kinds of pharmacies I think are really convenient for a lot of people. They're open all kinds of hours. They're open on the weekends. You can walk in. A lot of pharmacies will also do walk-ins, especially now that they're not so busy. When everybody was trying to get their COVID booster at the same time, then you definitely needed an appointment. But right now, it's pretty easy to get a slot. The other places that are most popular, your own doctor's office. If you have a primary care doctor, that's probably the best place to call and ask and just see how they recommend you getting one. Depending on where you go to get care, they might just have you walk in to get it, especially if you get your care at a community health center. They all have COVID vaccines to give out. So that's a great place to get one. Then there are also smaller events. King County sponsors a number of them. There's some other agencies that do as well. And at these, we're usually trying to serve a specific group. So I know the group that I work with, sometimes we will get a request, say, from a housing a housing site where there's lots of seniors living. They'll call us up and we'll say, great, we will send a mobile team over there and we will come and bring vaccines for the folks who live there. We do the same thing with senior centers, and senior centers, they're all over King County, and they'll tell us when they want to host a vaccine clinic, and then we will bring enough vaccines for as many people as they want. And they can walk in. Usually at those events, people of any age can come, even if it's a senior center. So we say, come and vaccinate your seniors and the people who love them. So maybe grandma or auntie comes with the grandkids and everybody gets vaccinated at the same time. I always really encourage think about your whole family as kind of a bubble, right? We want to make sure there's this bubble of protection around the whole family so that it's not only the one person who is at high risk, but we get everybody so that there's this less chance of any infection coming into a home. So those are really the best places. If I always want to mention one last program, it's one of the programs that my team runs, and this is for people who are homebound, so they really can't leave their homes very easily. We are very loose. People do not have to tell us what the medical reason is why they can't leave, as long as they just tell us that they need to be able to get their vaccine at home. We don't need a doctor's note or anything like that. And it's also totally okay if somebody is unable to leave their home or really would be better served at home because of a mental health condition or somebody who has a developmental delay like autism, something like that, where it's just going to present more barriers to them to try to get vaccinated in public. Like that might be really distressing to them. In that case, that is a perfectly fine reason to request that the homebound service come, that we send a team and they will come directly to their home. So a nurse or a pharmacist will come out and bring the vaccine with them and serve the person at their home. And that's a completely free service as well. I think those are the main ways that folks are getting their vaccines. I'm going to put a phone number in the chat for folks who want to request help from that homebound service, so that if somebody wants to call, they would just be calling, and it'll just be me or my one team member who answers the phone. So it's pretty personal service. We'll put that phone number in so everybody has it.
Oh, that is wonderful. Also, like Ransa and Alinda, there's also one more question from you guys, before we hop on and play another song from the Marshallese group.
I get a lot of this question from communities and with confusion. And after getting booster shot, number one, do we have to get another one? And how many booster shots are there?
Great question. It is very confusing. I get the question a lot too. So here's the basics of it. The booster that we have right now, sometimes people call it the bivalent booster because it's got two strains, right? So bi means two. So it's got the first strain, the original COVID-19 strain that was out 3 years ago, making people sick. And it has what we call Omicron. People might remember last winter, it seemed like everybody had Omicron. So the booster that is available right now has both of those strains in it. So it is our best chance at staying safe from Omicron and the original. This booster came out in late September of this past fall. So a lot of people got it then, right? Especially folks who were older or maybe who were looking for a booster, who knew that it was important for them. So a lot of people, went out and got it as soon as they could. Now they're being told, well, you're eligible for a second booster, right? So people who are over 65 and have not had a booster in the last 4 months, they're eligible to get another one now. And we really encourage them to do that. People who are younger than 65 but have an immune compromising condition, so people should check with their doctor if they have questions about that. If they're not sure whether they personally have one, they should ask. But the common things are heart or lung conditions, diabetes. There's several pretty common things that can mean you have a lower immune system. So anybody who's in that group who is immune compromised, they can get a booster every 2 months. So as if I have an immune compromising condition and my last booster was in December, I am definitely eligible now. I could get another one of the bivalent booster. Then there's again going to be a whole nother new booster that is going to come out in the fall. Has not come out yet, and it won't come out until at least the end of September. I think it will probably come out right around the same time as our new flu shot. Hopefully it'll come out around the same time, then people could potentially get them both at the same time, make it even more convenient. But that new booster will be it'll be a different formula, and right now vaccine scientists are trying to figure out what strain of this virus is going to be making people sick in the fall, right? So they're having to predict the future a little bit, right? Because they're trying to figure out, okay, this is the strain that is going around in a different part of the world right now, and we think that this is what we might have here. So they will make a new booster, and that booster will have that strain that they think is going to be the one that we are most likely to get sick from. So then when that comes out, it'll also come with a recommendation for who should get it. They might say everybody over 12 should get it. They might say only people over 65 really need to get it. There might be other groups, for instance, people who are pregnant. It's very important that people who are pregnant get a lot of different vaccines, not just COVID. But that's a group that may be included. But we just don't know that yet. The CDC will make their recommendation before it comes out, and then we'll know, and then we can start planning how to make it accessible to everybody. Did I answer most of the
Yes.
questions you get? Okay, good.
Gomaldara. I mean, thank you.
Very welcome.
Oh, that is so wonderful. Now we are going to, I'm glad that your question has been answered. Ransa and Alinda, we're going to go across the ocean here to the Marshallese Islands and also Marshallese community. And Ransa, I'm sorry, is that Chukis or Chamorro? Chukis?
Chukis,
Yeah,
yes.
Chukis. Okay. How do you say hello in Chukis?
Renanim.
Start with R.
We have a
Randy.
training next time. Okay, well, we'll play this little melodious song from the Marshallese Islands Breeze.
Thank you.
At the same time, we still have Pastor Arceli. You'll be next.
I might have a book.
Again, Tino, we would like to welcome again, Tino, over and over, everybody that are here. We ask you, please go to Voice of South Pacific. It has the little two coconut logo, and share it to your personal page. And then you go from your personal page to share it to all your friends, family, and the community abroad. It's very important that we have this program, that we are going to spread it like in Portuguese, Fijian, Tongan, Samoan, and also Chamorro. So we have a lot of multi-languages, that we'd like to cover that, to make sure that information that are shared by the Seattle King County Public Health with Karen Goldenberg, the program manager for the immunization, will be able to spread to help everyone in the community, especially those, with the chronic issues like the vulnerable adults, the seniors. Okay, welcome, Pastor Arceli. Thank you so much for joining us today. And make sure that we still have those, the time toward the end, we were going to make an announcement. Kuya ha kai ngatonga mo ka programa ka kia ha mo fehui. Pea mo toi mai pehe la te maulota ke whakahokoangi ke King County, ko County e mau nofo ai, I Seattle, Washington, Amerika, ke tukuange atu ai ngahi whahinohino ko eni ma ngahi vahe ko eni makinau tolu, ke tokoni ke te kitau tolu. Pastor Arceli, thank you. The Fijian Pastor Arceli.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, my name is Aseri. I'm from Fiji. So
can you Pastor
can you hear me
Arceli,
now?
can you show yourself on a video, please?
Oh, sorry.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Nissan Bula.
Buluvinaka. So I think my question is, you know that you're providing home vaccination. Can you tell us more about it?
Sure. So I'm personally really proud that we live in a community that does this. Not every county had the resources to pull it together, but we've had this program for quite a while. We are only able to offer COVID vaccination in home. Unfortunately, we would love to do more vaccines, but at least so far, COVID is the only one that we're able to provide. But we do this by partnering with other community groups. So we have, I work with 5 different teams. They come from different places, few different community pharmacies. We have one that's a group of nurses that they also do kind of other kinds of in-home care, and they pulled a mobile team together to work with the county on vaccinations. And it's a pretty easy program to access. So all people need to do is to call the phone number. They would reach me or my coworker, and we would take a little bit of information. So we want to know where they live. We want to just check their age to make sure that they're eligible for a vaccine right now. We would take down their contact information. A lot of times we get calls from someone who is calling for maybe for their mom or dad that they care for, or they're sometimes they get calls from a case manager, or sometimes a navigator might make a referral for someone that they've met in the community. Anybody really can call, that's fine. And we just take down that information, and then depending on where the person lives in the county, we refer them to one of our mobile teams. The mobile team will then call the person back, sets up the appointment time for whatever works for the person who made the request, and then the team comes out to them and brings the vaccine. They can take as long as they need. If this person's a little nervous, it's a very we really try to reduce all the barriers that we can. just want to make it as easy as possible for this person to get their vaccine. And if there are other people at home when the team comes, if maybe there is somebody who does some caregiving, or somebody else who, even we've had folks who just invited their neighbors over when they knew they had the team coming. It's, once the team is on their way, they just want to vaccinate people. So they'll vaccinate extra folks too, as long as they are already coming out for one person who is actually homebound. And like I said earlier, there's really no reason. There's no documents that anybody would need. There's nothing that you need to qualify for homebound. You just tell us what it is that is going on with this particular situation, and we're able to send a team out. So, and then the vaccine from there is just like it would be if you got it anywhere else. The person would come, that would be a nurse or a pharmacist who's qualified to give vaccines. They would do the vaccine and stay with the person for a few minutes afterwards, just to make sure that they're not having any kind of bad reaction. Okay, I hope I answered.
Hi, Pastor Aseli. Did it
Pastor
answer
Sari.
your question?
Thank you. Yeah, you did. Is there a number that you can put on the screen so that we can
Yes,
keep just a call?
absolutely. I'm going to put it up right.
Thank you, Karen. Appreciate it.
Thank you for the question.
Okay, thank you so much. At this time, we'll do another tussle here from the islands of Fiji, and then we'll ask the rest of the navigator here just if you have anything that you wanted to share. Lavinia, I saw you, Lavinia Natuna, you're inside too. If you have any questions, feel free to let us know, or you can write it. Just do the tussle. We'll take a little 10 minutes again, to give you this song here from the islands of Fiji. And next will be the Samoan. Mr. Joseph Seia. We'll cross over to the South Seas, to the islands of Samoa, Talofa Lava. Joe, if you have any question or have anything to share, feel free. Now it's your turn. Joseph Seia.
Hi, Fatima. It's Joseph. Talofa, everybody. Talofa Lava. My question to the county folks. So I hear a lot of the terminology around seniors and elders being 65 and up. Knowing that Pacific Islanders have the highest rates of, diabetes, heart disease, a lot of the some of those conditions. I know for Native American folks, they've reduced that age to 55 as considered elders. And so wanted to hear from King County if there's consideration around changing what the age of senior and elders is for most impacted community members.
That's a fantastic question. And, I think one thing to keep in mind is that we've got lots of layers of government, and the county doesn't set vaccination policy broadly. So we at the county follow CDC guidelines. We have to follow them for anything that is specific. Like we couldn't say, we're going to operate our program starting at 50 if the federal government will only pay for it at 65, even though we fully believe and agree that it perhaps should be lower depending on the population that we're talking about, because just like you just mentioned, absolutely the negative effects that come from having these kind of chronic conditions start younger for people of color. That is unfortunately something that we see with all kinds of illnesses, but it's absolutely been true of COVID. So for that kind of thing, for the things that we can vaccinate against, we have to follow the guidelines that are not generally set locally. But our programs that are set locally, things that programs I've worked on where we are really thinking about which neighborhoods we want to target. We're going to try to set up events where people can access that they might just come across, and it's things that are really, really low barrier. Those are programs that we may have control locally over what the age is, and in that case, that there is, at least amongst the teams that I work with, widespread agreement that we would start younger than 65. I think this is a little bit beside your question, but we think about it in terms of a concept called weathering, where if you have had to face all of the, even if what we were just talking about is the stress that comes from living in a country where we have all kinds of problems with racism, even just that one stressor causes so much damage to your body. That's what the term weathering means. It's like thinking about, if you think about, a wooden house that's in the wind, right, for 10 years, that house is going to be weathered. It's just not going to be able to withstand all of that force for that long, right? So that's why we expect to see poor health outcomes for folks who have been kind of in the wind for longer. We expect to see poor health outcomes
I
younger than
appreciate
we
that
would.
answer, Karen. Yeah, thank you.
I'm sorry, I'm rambling a little bit, but it was a really good
You're
question,
good.
Joseph.
You're good. I mean,
Appreciate
yeah,
it.
that is just one thing that I think as Pacific Islanders we need to work towards around. I know for our American Indian, Native, Alaskan communities, they're very specific that 55 and up is considered their elders. So similarly to us, a lot of our indigenous sort of makeup makes us very vulnerable, and so the colonial impacts of climate racism, right? The pollution of the oceans, and Pacific Islanders having some of the highest cancer rates, if not the highest cancer rates, in many different forms of cancer, just makes our community more likely to experience early death. And so I just think that there should be some efforts to rethink, what elder or senior status is for our different communities. My last question is around updated vaccination rates, specifically for Native Hawaiian and Pacific Islanders. What do you know, Karen, like what the status is for our communities as far as compared to other racial groups, the updated vaccination rates?
I should have looked it up before I came in, because we do get them every week, and like you probably know, at least locally, Pacific Islanders have done a fantastic job of vaccinating your community. You have done better than almost any other group. I'm not sure what it. Oh, yes, my colleague Kate is pulling it up right now to pull up the actual rates. In general, they've been very good.
Thank you. Appreciate that. I
Appreciate
know
the hard work. Yeah.
Yeah, I know that like our rates as far as like getting any vaccination might be higher than others. I'm just wondering if what our updated like vaccination rates is, like for folks that did complete their essentially fourth shot, right? Fourth or fifth shot to make sure they're up to date with their COVID vaccinations. Do you know if we're doing well in that area as well?
I can speak to this a little bit, Joseph. Hi, my name is Kate, and I work with Karen on the communications end. So I'm not a immunizations specialist or an epidemiologist, but I was able to pull up some of our most recent data, and I want to put this link in the chat for the Zoom so that you can open it as well. But then I'm also just going to read some of this data aloud for folks who may not be able to see it in front of them. So you were asking a great question, Joseph, about what is the rate for not initial COVID shots, but for the most recent bivalent boosters. And we define this as being up to date on vaccinations. And so Native Hawaiian Pacific Islander residents in King County are kind of in the middle of the pack when we look at the breakdown by race ethnicity. So only 26% of Native Hawaiian Pacific Islanders in King County are considered fully up to date on their COVID vaccines and the boosters that come out of that after that. And so that means they're behind folks who identify as American Indian, Alaska Native, Asian, or white, but ahead of folks who identify as Black, African American, or Hispanic Latino. I think the really important thing to take away here is that for every single racial ethnic group in King County right now, everyone is at below 40% for being up to date on COVID vaccines. So that means that most people in King County need to get at least one more booster shot, one of these new, updated, more effective booster shots in order to have the full protection available to them right now. And that's in the Native Hawaiian Pacific Islander community, but that's amongst everyone else throughout King County as well.
Thanks, Kate, for that clarity. I do think that because there were a lot of community clinics that were stood up within the Native Hawaiian and Pacific Islander communities throughout South King County during COVID, and that was the work of our collective community. And also those shots were incentivized. That is why, our communities did really well. As a matter of fact, we're leading in vaccination rates. But when it comes time for the update, up to date vaccination rates, we no longer have access to incentives, access to a lot of the community clinics that we have had before that were supported by, King County, Harborview, UW. And so I think one of the questions that I have for county is are there sort of intentionality about making sure that they're identified NHPI vaccination points and not just referring Pacific Islanders to go to, the infrastructure that's already set up, which we know don't really serve our communities well. But are there maybe some support around creating new vaccination points for Native Hawaiian Pacific Islanders?
Great question. Great sharing. Thank you, Joseph.
Karen, I have some thoughts, or I can let you take it away.
You can start. I'll jump in.
I'll start with what I know, and then I'll let Karen chime in as the expert. And Joseph, I just want to say thank you so much for these really great questions.
Yes.
So I want to start by addressing some of the stuff you were saying at the start, that in the beginning of the pandemic and the release of the initial COVID vaccinations, you are so right. There were so many pop-up clinics and so many efforts made to partner with community to make sure that folks had access to these life-saving vaccines. And as a result of that community effort, we had really high vaccination rates, especially in King County. And what's happened since then is the federal public health emergency that was allowing a lot of money to go towards this has expired. And as a result, we have fewer staff and are holding fewer big vaccination partnerships and clinics. But we have decided to use the limited resources that we still do have to really emphasize community-based sort of pop-up vaccination events for communities of color, and particularly communities of color that have been most impacted and live in parts of the county that have the fewest resources for vaccination. So Karen, I'll stop there. I know you're, one of the folks who's actually sitting there doing a lot of these vaccination events and doing a lot of that resource planning, and let you talk more about the details.
Yeah, so, just back that up, unfortunately we just don't have the financial resources that we had at the beginning. But we do still have some, and we do have access to really helpful data so that we're able to find communities that have, we know historically who's been most impacted, and who is still in need of, who needs the vaccines the most, because they haven't had access. There are the specific teams like mine who has a really specific focus, right? So I work with folks who are older, folks who are immune compromised, folks who live in a long-term care facility of any kind, and people who are pregnant. So, and within those, we also look for groups who have an even smaller focus. So, maybe this is a group that works with, I don't know, this is a Latinx group. They have a focus on everybody, but they have a senior group that meets once a week, and that team, that group is looking for help with their vaccine access. I will send a team over there. We want to look for smaller kind of more focused pathways. I think like different access points. You asked if we were looking for any different access points, and I think, yeah, always. I know we're always looking for it. So, and we're always looking for community to tell us where could we go? Where would the resources that we do still have best serve your community? How could we most best use them? Unfortunately, I don't imagine that we're going to get back to a point where we have as many resources as we once had. We probably won't be getting that kind of money, but that doesn't mean that we can't do a lot of good with what we do have. And I'm very, very open. I think I can speak for all my colleagues too. Like we do this work because we want to serve our neighbors, right? We want to serve the King County community, and I think that you're the best placed to let us know exactly, what does that look like?
Okay, thank you so much. Hopefully, that get all the information that you were sharing, Joseph, and then the question that you were asking. Thank you so much for great information. It's always great to share with the community within the King County. And thank you, Karen. At this time, again, we'll cross over to the islands of Samoa to have a little breeze from the islands.
The best islands in the Pacific.
Oh, that's the best islands, yeah. I thought that's just a sand beach island. Joseph said that's the best island. Fiji is known as the Blue Lagoon Islands. Tonga is known as the Friendly Islands in the southeast. It was named by Captain Cook. Joseph, do you have anything else to add on?
No, I'm good. Thank you for inviting me, Fatima. I'm good.
Thank you so much. Thank you for joining us. The Voice of South Pacific broadcast. And for those of you that are still tuning in, we'd like to remind you, whenever you have any event or any church events, any family events, funeral, celebration, or parties, we also provide the live stream. And our radio tech right here, DJ Unahefa, he's the one that's doing our live stream to make it spread out globally and connect to family all over the world. And so the best thing to know is to always call and book it ahead of time. The phone number is 253-304-0145. 253-304-0145. Okay, we're coming to the last part here of our program. I have Barbara Gerber. This person here was texting, asking a question from the outside. Barbara Gerber, I hope you're still inside. Her question is, what if not that we don't do the vaccines, the booster dose anymore? Because I noticed ever since they lifted up all the restriction during the pandemic, the people are still back to normal life and they're still healthy. I know that everybody wanted to protect others, but I'm asking, what if you don't put on those things? Do you think it may be stronger? The booster dose and the vaccine are stronger to the body of the oldest, or it's safe? That's from Barbara Gerber. Hopefully that I try to get all your texts, and I read it out. Karen, did you hear that question?
I did. I'll
That's
answer what I
almost like a two
think
question
she's
at the
asking.
same time.
Yeah. Okay. I'll answer what I think the question was getting at. So she asked a few things. She was asking, I think, was asking if the vaccine is stronger for older people. Was that
Yes.
the last? So the vaccine, the dose that everyone gets is the same. I'm 43. If I got my vaccine, it would be the exact same one that my mom, who's in her 70s, would get. But our bodies do react differently, and as people get older, they have a less of a reaction to a vaccine. The way that vaccines work, a very basic understanding of how a vaccine works is you're introducing, depends on the kind of vaccine, but usually it's a weak version of the virus. That's what a vaccine is giving, right? So and then that prompts your body. Your body says, oh, I sort of recognize that. I'm going to have a reaction. And then your body makes antibodies, right? And those are cells that then those antibodies are just ready there. They're ready in your body. And then if your body sees COVID again, like you actually are, near somebody who's infected and you're actually exposed, then your body already has the antibodies and those antibodies are ready to fight. That's how a vaccine works. You have to have an immune system that is strong enough to make a reaction. Otherwise, vaccines are just not going to work for you. So people who are older, as we get older, our bodies just don't make as strong a reaction to any vaccine. So that's why we have extra boosters that I recommend. Like, it's why right now, if you're over 65, you're eligible for this extra booster. It's because scientists think that if you have had a weaker reaction to start with, it might wear off quicker, right? So that's why they think, if I was a senior and I got my booster 6 months ago, it's probably already worn off now, and I'm ready for another one. So that's one reason why people who are older, they do have a different reaction. With flu shots, we actually usually have a extra strength version of the flu shot, and that is only recommended for people who are older. And that is for the same reason. It's because we just expect people who are older to have less of a reaction to the vaccine. So they need a little bit extra to have the same protection that somebody who's younger would get. So I know she asked a few other parts of the question. I
think
I
you
answered part of
already
it.
explained it overall. Yeah.
Great.
So yeah, that sounds great. Thank you so much, Karen Goldenberg, for taking the time to answer all the questions that was coming from community leaders. And all these community leaders, representing an islands, but majority of them from the PI Health Board. And also, Joseph is also one of the leaders too, representing the Pacific Islanders, at the Department of Health with the state. And I'm also like with the communication here with our Pacific Islanders broadcast, And so each one of us, will also spread it, in our native language to make sure that is also comprehended, by our community abroad. But thank you again, for taking the time. It was much longer than we thought. And thank you again, Karen. Thank you, Cole. Is Kate still here?
I am. Thank you so much, Sylvia. I really appreciate it.
Yes, that is the wonderful information that we have today. And if there's anything else that anybody wanted to say, because after this we'll all share it, in our multi-language, And also we look forward for our program in August, and happy 4th of July too.
Happy 4th of July, and thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Karen. And also we'll look forward to have another program with you in the past and in the future. Last time we have Deborah Belina, and now this is Karen Goldenberg. And thank you, Kate Cole, for accommodate all this great information to share with the community abroad. Thank you for your time, and we do appreciate. And now we're going to just play this little song here. It's just, now it's a time to dance. Going away. Thank you. Final dance. Happy 4th of July, everybody. Now we have, I'm going to just say something in our song. Tatakia he taha o ka pule ko program manager ko Karen Goldenberg, the Seattle Public Health King County. Aya ko to taha ko ni ne tataki tafaaki ko ia ai ho. Pea ko na famatala be foki a maho inga ko ia ke ngau eke ai vaccine he ko ke alupe ai mahaki pipihia ai COVID tahiva. Pea ko to e famanat mai pe hange ko kau tau reka mau inga foki na ngawe ake ko inga he ko lava ke ne taofi fanki mahaki ko ia mo e fanki mahaki ne we sia vave ki nau tolu ka ko hoko leva ai hu ko ni ke ne lava o fai e kita fa haufi kita pea me he ngai mahaki pipihi ko ni o mo fele i he atakai. Ko ia pa te whamanata tai pehene ka pa uka katoanga pe ko hape hao whainga mea lava pe ki whetu taki mai ki he telefoni ko i wani matolu tolu noa whanoa ta whanima ko e mau tangata ia ko ne hanga whakahoko atu DJ Una Hefaya to do the live stream. Thank you everybody from the King County Public Health for joining with us today, especially those, like from the PI Health Board. So I see that we still have, who else are still here? Hi, Alinda, could you just share something in the Marshallese? To the Marshallese community? We can hear you. Alinda, can you unmute?
Okay.
Yeah.
Kumoldada, yep. I can share with my friends. There are people that are watching on Facebook. Imignanot kami lalaga program ardo yan Karen Goldenberg and we made program manager in public L in Seattle and King County iminayin program yo. Then terribly pen rotoro may lugun lat erro nyangan bi wire a chronic young najum ejabar kaman pa chen ran marong wailo mo gomer yung parainuat lo choko merit perilo like choko chicken roto yung hospital ko yung ebar chibang rome rolun piner tabar covid kamilelo arto igichen covid waya ko an roto yung tago rejele der erdene wai yung chakar balale ngai akarangane wai mai jibi kai ngai ora mi kachudo kumi barang kole ng bagin nampai lo perguin ne waje nampai yo nganami I got to 1-800-756-5437 COVID line. Yung pa rin nga in vaccination yun. 206-848-0243 lo awakan na kalidag cimatan ng lalim. Cimatan ngayon orang kanan. Ngayon, pero pigitiwa yung wagi. Kaya pero kuyo, kwe, alam na nga namin yung COVID ini change ako, yung pa rin nga kunan kada kan COVID and booster men ko yalagam parpog melala parpalada ng pamang 1-888-308-7113. Kumul dada Sylvia yung Voice of the Pacific yung program manager and vaccination King County vaccination COVID Karen. That's
Thank
it.
you so much, Alinda. Also, I have Renza. Renza, could you also share something, in Chuukese and also the event in Vancouver, Washington? Renza?
She have a meeting. She
Oh,
have
okay.
a yeah.
Yeah, can you share the upcoming event, that you guys are going to do in Vancouver, Washington, in English? The time and the date.
Okay, one moment. Wait. Hang on. Hang on.
Is
let me
Pastor
look for-
Aseli still in? Oh, okay, wonderful.
I'm sorry. Wait, let me look for the flyer. Okay, I got it here. Okay, it's going to be in Clark County on July 7. And
Can you show it on a picture?
share it with your. It doesn't show the hour. I don't see the hour. One moment. Oh, okay. Toby and Apple enrollment in Cascade Public Library at 600 Northeast 136th Avenue, Vancouver, Washington, 98684. And also it's going to be held on July 7, 2023 from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m.
What time it start again?
The starting will be at 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. And it's going to be at Cascade Public Library at 600 Northeast 136th Avenue, Vancouver, Washington, 98684.
Okay, thank you. Just put up the poster on Voice of South Pacific, so we can share it too,
Okay, we'll do
Okay.
that. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Alinda and Renza. Yeah, thank you to all the PI help board. Okay, at this time, I will pass it on to Pastor Aseli from the Fijian community. Pastor Aseli, do you want to share something like in the Fijian language? To the Fijian community?
Okay, thank you, Sylvia. Just yeah, mbula vinatali ni mbula nonan na singeni ko au may tigo na doon na vitala noa and singeni ko membaletan meeting go weekend do may King County virtu na King County Health Department and kena may wararamatig nga doon na nondra na vika varuta gitu membaletan na vaccination kena booster shot kaya varuta tu na county se membaleti kemni na waitigi ko King County gosing ni wili tali kena na vi Boni County wili tinga kena King County nanda tu wamadala na vida na ka yer tu turmai yer tu ni tigo ni si tigo nga na booster shot na sotale na booster shot wo sa la domingo ko me ke wakai ko sa la remote ke na vaccination ke sa tigo tale ndo tale na kawo na booster shot na kena wararota ki tigo ngase na kena na bulanga ni kena tango magiti ko membaleta na COVID okay plan sa may mulmulumu sa wakai mulmulumu mai na ngangaro ni membaleta na COVID erto vanreti talitinga ki weekenda na kena tango magitinga wambimbi weekenda na sangas dagitiko ena loma ni kena tango magitinga na boost ni laurai tiko ni okenda na Pacific Islanders community endona ilaula o se endona kautomata enda tarikenda wali utiko na rengo se na kai laudurumi na kai da mai patabi mai tiki kina wali na COVID ngo ko yanga menda na tata robi tiko kina ina nanda tu bi rate tiko nga somi ya inda kilani sulu usar nambula da rota langa ni na tata ko magitinga kina membaleta na kina maru ni nanda bula kirta la raba wala katira tubat ki kenda sendali ni mata bubal wonuenda la koba na viva ungeti tingani nanda maru kenda tinga semberandina ni sama isang sonyo wakana kena la mai liu na nanda tata ko magi ya retu viva ndi tinga membaleta na veiti kina ya kilani sumti ko na booster shot ni sa singni wakai liu ko me free to mai na vaccination yung go siya sa lauting mo sa nakali layer to sa rawat na nakali se buti orto na bayang ataka na set up sa rato bayang atati bidan na banitali ni tingore na bibu sarwali menda na kila do talaga na kairto para ramatating may ni raw talaga ni libagay do rival na in-home vaccination. Kaya itikin na number na sulitigan na number na 268480243. Iko raw niyong girita, iko raw niyong gay tugon ng akina, ni ko lalewe ni no may viti, iko binakata ke baka binakata ng translator. Meron ni translator kabi ko na pando taga weekend na vikay sa tuut na ina Romani Health Department ngo membaliti kenda indoya na kena ngunsal and the rawan in the bakay nga tawa binaka raw talaga ninda na turo ba binaka kina na vika kwenda ng rewatiko and Romani ngo na kila na number talibo ni gobyerno na Health Department liw sa tikindan lito kan itigo talenga and gobyerno na Pacific Islanders community ngo doon da duro doon da ngone o teniela den tokailangi ko era telanga nindua weekend semana sul weekend na resources na evonu avendarani la kokina kim kaindua na kai kuna tarong iko rawonyo girita na nambang gos yang gili mai kina virtu na Voice of the Pacific virtu na Silvia kena na ilaw baletin tigo kena so na information raw sa weekend so ni tigo and the raw ni viwo sita ka bambi binondalo ni komin da ko ni tunga mai da raw ni da sang mai men da raw ni toro kenda na daba inda ngandrewa sena tigo and na binakat klasan da mai tuna uno leungo na nga balebu men da na bibu kya ni ra kanda na tonga na samo aratu ba bole katiken era lau ruma batal tunga I do talanga bunu and na roni me sema bia kaniwa bila kina kanda viva na numi talanga kina na dava imbimbi vi kanda mbale tanan rakini nimbula kina ngauna na tu kina kenda tu wata vina seranga kira na kanda na tonga bat kina samo sanita ni na itu la lekar ni banjo taka vikentu ya itigo tali sona vivo kile witigo kiambale tersatu kina do banjo bos na bandewa tuku bango weir na non da kwarsa na raba rautu membaleter sumi tu membaliti kan da mera sub tikikan sanitak pabinibina tikina na ngauna rani tinin tu mai kina rani vito ko ni talanga mai kina gai bitanga mena no misani taru bertu na non to host be Silvia ni wambo teni na UK kan de kina na rotelanga ni USA ni gewir na kan ni kelungata nanda bata na nona vivaru teng naturang ka nanda bata na marau ni 4th of July sa takoy matan ni kalungat. Thank you, Sylvia.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Pastor Aseli from the islands of Fiji. Thank you so much for sharing it, to the community, Fijian community. I know there are a lot of them in North King County, but otherwise, what matters is to spread the word,
Yeah.
for our Pacific Islanders community abroad. Thank you
Yes.
so much, Pastor Aseli. And again, you have Gabby. Gabby, do you have a little minute, to say something in your native language, Gabby? About what we, about what Karen Goldenberg, the program manager for immunizations, you don't have to just like word by word, just like what's the concept, of what the information she was just sharing, whatever you do, remember, just share it in your native language.
Oh, okay. Well, unfortunately, I do not speak my native language. But
Oh,
the Chamorro culture,
that's fine.
yeah. But it was wonderful being a part of this broadcast, and thank you for holding and taking this space, Auntie.
Yeah, what islands are you from again?
Yeah. So I'm from the island of Guam.
Oh, from Guam.
Yes.
Okay, how do you say hello in Guam?
I say Hafaday, and to say thank you, we say Siduos Maasi.
Oh, thank you.
Thank
Okay,
you.
well, just tell them to tune in, eh? Majority of the Guam people speak English, eh?
Yes.
A lot of them. Okay, thank you so much, Gabby, for taking your time and join with us today, and we do appreciate that. Did you have any question while we were having the program that you wanted to, you didn't get a chance to announce it, or anything that you think that it would be very important on our next program?
I I think that Carol covered it. But here at the Pacific Islander Health Board, we also have a prenatal program. So if there's any mothers or families that are expecting, we would love to come and support your communities. If you can reach us at our Facebook page or contact us at pihealthboard.org. Be sure to do that for you. But again, thank you so much for having us on
Thank
to this
you.
today's broadcast.
So you said the mothers, like the expecting mother, eh? To have a baby?
Yes, so for any mothers who are pregnant currently or they're planning to get pregnant, we're offering childbirth education classes, a support group for mothers in the King County area, and as well as doulas to help them along the process.
Okay. What's your phone number? Do you want to put it out?
Yes, our
You
phone
type it
number
in.
is, I believe,
Gabby.
1888
1888
7113.
1888
7113, or you can Facebook message us
Three-
at Pacific Islander.
Sorry, 308 1888 308 7113.
Okay. Thanks, Alinda.
You're welcome.
That is so much fun, having you all, and it's such a blessing, for you all to take your time, and we all coming together as a Pacific Islanders family community to be a part of this, to partner with the Seattle and King County Public Health. Thank you all and enjoy the 4th of July. Enjoy your fireworks, and also if you know anybody that needs a live stream for any events, funeral, celebration, wedding, anything, let us know. We'll be more than happy to meet your expectation, and also so they can be able to see it while we do the live streams, like live on Facebook and YouTube worldwide, globally. And the phone number that you can reach out is 253-304-0145, and that is the Voice live stream by DJ Una Hefa. 253-304-0145. You can call at any time and book it ahead of time. Okay, thank you all, and thank you for such a great program. And again, my name is Sylvia Taimiaho, and we have Una, could you mention your full name?
Devita Hepa.
Devita Una Hefa. Enjoy your 4th of July. It's coming up tomorrow. That's the day that we celebrate the being independent.
It's Utopia. Kumonta everyone. For the Pacific Pine.
Thank you, Gabby. Thank you, Alinda.